Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube? Capital G here, giving you guys a top 10 list. This time I'm doing the top 10 field spells of all time. I'm going to be doing a lot more top 10 videos. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it's because I really took a liking to watch Mojo. But anyways, let's go ahead with the top 10 field spells of all time, the Yu-Gi-Oh hierarchy. Number 10, Gear Town. So whoever thought that Konami would design a field spell that's best effect would actually kick in when the card was destroyed? Gear Town is one of those few fantastic cards in the game that let you actually summon monsters from the deck, the hand, and the grave, and it doesn't hurt that usually that monster is a 3000 beater who locks out spells and traps when it attacks. Number 9, Archfiend Palabyrinth. A card that most people initially didn't think much of has now actually become a staple in pretty much every competitive Infernity that you'll ever find. Not only does Labyrinth power up nearly every good monster in the Infernity archetype, except Beetle, because, you know, he's like a douche, but it lets you search out copies of Archfiend straight from the deck. The ultimate irony with this card is the fact that it's actually better in a deck that runs one Archfiend monster as opposed to its intended deck. Number 8, the Seal of the ORICHALCOS. Man, everybody thought that this card was going to be broke as hell when it was first announced, and based on the fact that, well, for basically an entire arc on the anime, this baby was auto-win for whoever played it. Well, you know, not Yami, because he ended up losing the duel, and Yugi Soul. Oops. Regardless, the downsides of this card, you know, not being able to summon monsters from your extra deck ever, or being able to play a second copy of the card in a duel where it's already been destroyed. The upside of Seal of the ORICHALCOS, you know, being able to turn a wind-up rabbit into a 1900 beat stick that runs over Yamato, that's just too damn appealing to keep this card off the list. Number 7, Harpies Hunting Ground. Hunting Ground is a prime example that simplicity can continually win out in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It does one thing, and it does that one thing damn well. It makes your opponent scared as shit to play non-chainable back row. Either that or it forces them to warning a Harpie Dancer, and don't nobody want to do that. Sure, it has an attack gain effect, but nobody really cares about that part. Unless it's relevant in the duel, then you should totally care about that part. Number 6, Ancient City Rainbow Ruins. So I don't really care that Crystal Beasts suck or that they've never done anything remotely impressive in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Outside of one regional top 8 that you probably won't even remember 2 minutes after watching this video. You can't blame it on Ruins. They didn't give this card a good effect. They gave it 5 fucking good effects. And sure, to maximize the card, you really do have to play it solo. You can't effectively play it with other back row. But once you get to 3 or 4 Crystal Beasts in your back row, you should be winning the game anyways. Number 5, Gates of the Dark World. So anyone with a brain can tell you that this was one of the major reasons that the deck rose to Tier 1 status and was finally able to win a YCS. I mean, when you look at this card and you think that people are willing to play a second copy of a field spell over their first just so that they can trigger the effect again, you know that damn field spell is important. I mean, Gates gives Dark World the only 2 things that they really care about. Number 1, draw power, and number 2, ways to trigger Dark World monsters. Number 4, MADOLCHE CHATEAU, or as I like to think of it, try and go ham every single turn because there's basically no downside. Giving MADOLCHE a searchable card that turns all their monsters into floaters was, well, I would say questionable, but giving this same card an attack gain effect of 500, I mean, that was downright dumb. Come to think of it, even if CHATEAU wasn't overpowered, I still would have put it on the list just because it has Madeline on the card. I mean, just look at her. She's so purple and so cute. Number 3, the Grand Spellbook Tower. I really want to meet the person who designed Grand Tower so that I can smack them across the face and then spend the next 5 hours explaining to them everything wrong with the card. Tower is without a doubt one of the most complete cards ever created. Not only does it let you draw for essentially no real cost, but at the same time it lets you reuse your spellbook cards, especially the limited ones. And then if your opponent pops it, you really don't care because it just replaces itself with a monster. Whoop de freaking do. Number 2, NECROVALLEY. The only card on this list that would be eligible for OG status if there was such a thing in children's card games. NECROVALLEY was, at the time that it was released, one of the best lockdown cards in the entire game. Your opponent couldn't summon Chaos anything, they couldn't use any of their recursion spells, and a bunch of other good cards that they wanted to probably use too, like Pot of Avarice. If you play GKs, it got even better because it made Spy and Guard almost impossible to kill. I mean, 2500 defense, how you getting through that? Honorable mentions include Fusion Gate and Divine Wind of the Mist Valley, And finally, for number 1, and this pick was blatantly obvious, Dragon's Ravine, a card so strong that Konami saw fit to ban the damn thing into TCG, and yet leave it completely unlimited in the OCG at the same time. How the hell does that make sense? I have no idea. Ravine was pretty much living on easy street, and then the Dragon Rulers came out and ruined it for everybody. Suddenly, you could dump the damn thing straight into the graveyard from the deck, and you could trigger things like Dandelion at the same time. The plays just got extremely broken. And it's also worth mentioning that even before the Rulers came out, the card was already pretty damn amazing because of the Dux Phalanx plays. You throw Zephyros in there, shit gets crazy. So yeah, too much dirt got this card banned, but if you go to the OCG, Dragons continually are a tier 1 deck because of it. Thank you guys for watching as always. If there were any field spells that you think should have been on the list and I missed, please leave that in the comment sections below.